So let's get to one of our headliner topics, but not really. It's a bit of fun. Let's talk about Wish. Wish, the Disney movie that is to celebrate their 100 years. Do you know what it's doing?
Yeah.
Doing so well.
It's doing great. Look at that. Oh.
Cost $200 million. $200 million.
That they admit to.
That they admit to. You're right. But look at the domestic numbers. $49 million. It is struggling. It is struggling. It's been out, what, for like 3 weeks now? This movie is an epic disaster for Disney. This is one of those... well, I mean, I don't want to sort of overstate the magnitude of a failure that this film is, but I mean, holy crap, losing... I mean, what, $200 million plus marketing? Did they ramp up the marketing on this?
Yeah, this one got pretty huge marketing too. Not as much marketing as the Marvels, but pretty big marketing.
Yeah. So, what would you estimate the marketing budget to be?
Well, I'd say they gave it at least. I think they did at least 120, 125 in marketing.
What, in marketing or 25 in marketing?
Yeah, 120, 125.
Okay. Yeah. So, let's be fair. Let's just say it's $100 million, right?
All right.
So let's say it's $300 million budget. And they've only taken in all in, and they've taken $100 million so far.
Which
so
means
the break-even point was $600 million.
Right.
That's being fair. That's being overly fair, in fact.
Right. Yeah, because their marketing budget was probably more than that.
Massively.
I always tell people take whatever production budget that they finally arrive at, multiply that times 2.8, and there you are.
Yeah, that's probably a good way of doing it. So $600 million, they've made $100 million, they've lost.
I don't know. I mean, untold. I mean, because basically they've only made they've only made $50 million that we can count on. So they're 150 down on this, maybe 200. So it's like, ouch. Yeah, not good.
Yeah. Very, very, very funny. They're tanking it basically. And Tom is not joining in the conversation because he's unboxing something.
Ooh. Toys.
I just got a box of a bunch of stuff here. This is about how interested I am in Wish.
Oh, all right. Well, fair enough.
Okay.
That's commentary for you.
Amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, this is synergy, though. A Jaws beach towel. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no kidding.
Love that. When are you going to the beach then, Tom?
Yeah.
Never.
Oh.
Oh dear. Right. But I thought this is funny anyway to kind of talk about with respect to, I know you don't care about it massively, Tom, but you know, this is representative of just how far Disney has fallen, and the fact that this is the film to celebrate their centennial year, 100 years. You know, they celebrate with a Disney animation. It's the worst animation you can think of. It looks absolutely atrocious. They sink $200+ million into it, and it bombs. Spectacularly bombed.
Yeah. Well, and I said it myself. You wouldn't even known it was the 100th anniversary until later in this year, and even then, they didn't do a very big thing for it at all.
They did a bad job.
This movie could have been something special. They should have been releasing a bunch of original Disney films in theaters remastered, and they haven't been.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they didn't, but this should have been the year they tried to regain the trust of the audience. And the sad part is, I mean, it doesn't even sound like Wish and some of the other more recent animated films have been all that bad or political. It's just that people have lost the trust in Disney, and they're not going to take the chance to, drag the family out to a movie now.
Yeah, well, I mean, Elemental was an allegory for, well, I don't know whether it was an allegory for racism or segregation or something like that. And I don't know what else they had in it. I mean, the other, I mean, the Strange World literally.
Well, and they've also had a few of the Pixar films that did pretty well on Disney Plus that they're re-releasing in theaters as well this Christmas, I think it is. And I think Elemental's one of them.
Yeah, well, I do wonder. Well, and also a bunch of the movies which they just put on Disney Plus. I mean, I do wonder whether that is their sort of level of desperation coming out, though.
Well,
That's
Soul was
desperation.
one of them because Soul, I don't think ever even got a theatrical release, and the Turning Red one is another one.
That
They're
got it.
re-releasing
Yeah.
it.
Well, isn't Turning Red? Isn't that the weird movie about periods for
Yeah,
kids?
There's some allegory in there. I have not seen it. Some people I've talked to have said it's not as on the nose as some critics have said, but I have not seen it. So I
Turning
can't
Red,
comment. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't.
and it's not on the nose.
Jonas is in the chat. I can send him the link. He could probably answer this stuff better than I could.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Shoot, I think. I mean, I would have thought. I mean, that's pretty on the nose because doesn't she turn into a massive, giant red monster? Because her
Well, a
period's
red
due or something
panda.
like that. Yeah, I mean that's as on the nose as you get, isn't it?
Well, I mean, a red panda. I mean, it's an actual animal. I mean, that part. If it didn't
A
have, if it
giant
wasn't for the fact that she wasn't going through the change in the movie, as far as my understanding, it probably wouldn't have been a big deal. But I have no idea. I've not seen it. I wouldn't waste my time with it. I don't even have any young kids to really waste my time on this stuff with anyway, to where like I
Well,
have
they're
to worry
not.
about it. But yeah, 'cause
They're
my
not.
kids already grown, so
Yeah, as Jonas says, they're not re-releases. They're first time in theaters because they never
technically, yeah,
got the
that's what I was
release
saying.
date.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does make sense. It does make sense.
they got to recoup something
Well-
on them, and this is just basically to me signifying that they're not making the money on Disney Plus they need.
Yeah.
They underestimated and undersold some of their releases, and some of the other ones that like this people have just turned away from because they don't trust Disney anymore. I don't think those re-releases are going to do all that much better. I mean, they might. I'll be surprised if they do any better than a typical, Fathom re-release or whatever we have once in a while when they drop something like that.
Well, I mean, you said it's a sign that Disney Plus isn't doing so well. Disney Plus has never made money. Still, like it's still in. It's still in.
Oh no,
non-profit.
it's never going to either.
And that's why they're going to roll both Hulu and Disney Plus in together, because Hulu's profitable and Disney minus isn't, and then they're going to be able to reorganize in order to hide exactly how much money everything.
Well, they're also licensing stuff direct to Netflix now as well.
Yeah, because that's another sign of desperation. They're in big trouble.
Well, it's a sign of failure. So desperation, yes, but typically you think desperation sort of precedes failure. I mean, they have failed. That is, they've failed. They're now giving away for money, of course, but they're giving.
David Zaslav, I think, is the one who said it, that the streaming thing is just not going to work. He was finally the first one to come out and said what everybody else was trying not to, or at least being cognitive dissonant about, if that's a word. And that was basically that this was never going to be profitable. And I said this earlier on WDW Pro's shows, that they're going to learn very quickly that they sacrificed two very lucrative streams of revenue for streaming. Yeah. And it was first of all physical media, because now physical media, it's still alive, but good luck trying to find a movie anywhere, right? Like you got to go through the internet or what have you. You can't just go out to your local Walmart, or you don't have a local video store anymore. The second thing, of course, was the lucrative and a very lucrative network and cable airings that these movies would get endlessly over the years. Yeah. And they're basically turning these streaming services into the new cable. And guess what? They're getting pennies to the dollar, if not less than that, fractions of pennies on the dollar than what they used to for like a network showing. Like right now, okay, movies like National Lampoon's Vacation, The Grinch, Home Alone, stuff like that gets endlessly reran on cable. Guess how much those used to make for them? Tons of money. Like, this is why NBC used to run It's a Wonderful Life every year, right? Because these movies just continue to be very, lucrative for them, and they don't go nowhere. They stick around. And what have people complained about the last few years? Things like Charlie Brown and stuff not being shown on network television anymore because they don't know where to find them. Well, guess what, kids? You got to go to Apple, or you got to go to Disney Plus, or you got to go to Netflix, or you got to go to Hulu, or you got to go to Peacock, or people are just like, they just throw their hands in there and they're like, to hell with it. And this is why they're turning back to physical media again. Physical media has had a bump in the last couple of years because of this, I think, mainly.
And also because people are aware that without physical media, people can just take the
Yep,
product.
there's that too. They're learning.
Oh, and you're
Yep.
like, sorry, what the fuck? I bought this. So
No, you didn't. You long-term
Oh,
leased it if
yeah.
you bought it on digital.
That's true.
Yeah, it's absolutely absurd. Go back to vinyls, guys. I've been buying vinyls recently. Love a vinyl. Anyway, not that you can, you know.
Well, and I
watch a
think
movie
the
on
reason
vinyl.
for that is, look, let's be real. Some people do like the aesthetic sound of a vinyl. I'm not going to knock that. But at the end of the day, what it boils down to, we all know that they have skips and pops and digital audio is technically better, but they want to have that
Charm.
physical thing in their hand, right? They want to be able to hold it, look at it. When you're listening to the music, you want to read the liner notes or look at the pictures on the album. It's the same kind of thing sometimes with a movie, right? You like to be able to know that the version you have is the version you want, not some
Yeah.
edited down for content version that's on streaming or the 10th remaster or whatever, where
Do you
they've
know-
changed it and everything else. Yeah.
Well, you know why I like vinyl, and we'll move on after this, right? But you know why I like vinyl is because it slows me down, right? It's not like my
You
phone
appreciate
where
it.
I can just quickly flick something on. Like I've got Sonos, right? I've got Sonos surround sound, so I can put it to my phone and listen to some music and stuff like that. And that's all well and good, and it's fine. But a vinyl makes me slow down. You know, it's side A, side B, and different second vinyl, etc. It makes me slow down. It makes me appreciate it. It makes me listen and stop and actually go, yeah, it's not it's a less of a consumable product. It's more of an appreciation of the art as opposed to just a consume, just get through it and move on. There's that sort of factor in it for me. So,
Oh yeah.
right,
No, I
well,
totally agree.